When you're young, you might not have a money advantage, but where you do have an edge on many other people is with your time. The problem is so many young people don't understand the value of their time. And so they'll throw their early years into junk, into mindless scrolling, and even into developing bad habits that stick and end up harming their future selves. So in this video, I want to go over the 6 worst habits that I've given up that have kind of freed me and helped me grow my YouTube channel to over 200,000 subscribers and my gaming coaching business along with it to over $1 million a year run rate. My goal is once you hear these things and hear how they've affected me, you can actually spot them in your life and start fixing them way sooner than I ever did. Number 1, alcohol/partying. What I realized is that if you want to be successful at an early age, you have to be able to do things differently than most people at your age. When I was looking around like my college, I was thinking to myself, what is it that everybody around me does regularly that I don't think contributes to their growth? And I noticed almost everybody at my school is spending a good chunk of their free time drinking or partying. And I realized that if I wanted to get stuff done in my free time and be able to use those very few hours I have outside of, my 9 to 5 school time and doing work, spending a whole night drinking and then another day recovering after, it was gonna make it impossible. To be clear, I'm not saying to give up socializing, because I think socializing and making connections is extremely important. But what I am saying is that quitting alcohol and quitting partying, at least at those excessive levels, it's the easiest way to get an unfair advantage on a lot of other young people. Maybe you're not like me, maybe you just have unlimited energy and you can go out and then wake up at the same time the next morning and not feel fatigued. But for those of us who operate within the rule book, I think looking at how much you're consuming alcohol or just consuming like substances in general and how much of your time that's actually taking up can be really, really eye-opening. And sometimes it's the obvious stuff like this that actually hold us back the most. The second thing I had to give up is weekends. For the longest time, I operated in 2 modes, and I think this is how many people operate. You have like your Sunday night through Thursday night mode, where you kind of have like a decent sleep schedule. You're kind of like taking care of yourself, getting prepared for whatever you have to do during the weekdays. And then Friday night, Saturday night, and sometimes Sunday as well, we have like a weekend mode, where the kind of like narrative is you relax and you take time off. You don't really continue doing any of the productive stuff you were on during the week. Think about it. We all have very limited hours outside of our like 9 to 5 to put towards our hobbies, to turn our side hustles into our main hustles, to turn our passions into what we can do for a living. But the truth is, if you're really serious about turning your side hustle into your main hustle, there is so much time there that you can use. And if your sleep changes on the weekends and you're throwing away the first 3-4 hours of your day laying in bed, that is one of the biggest chunks of time that you could take and put towards something meaningful. And so when I started treating all 7 days of the week like most people treat only 5 days of the week, I got a 2-day advantage, and I think that's what's accelerated my progress a ton over the last 12 months. Number 3, video games. Now, this one's a bit controversial, and the only reason I mention it is because it's a little ironic, right? I run a gaming YouTube channel, and I have a gaming coaching business, and I'm sat here saying I don't play video games. Everybody's quite shocked when I tell them, like, the only time I'm playing Rocket League is when I'm recording or streaming. That's it. Actually, there's a third: networking. If I'm not doing one of those 3 things, I'm not playing Rocket League. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that video games are bad. Just like with sports or with other hobbies, I think there are things to be learned from doing any activity on the side. But I would say video games holds a lot of people back. And if we're talking about things that if you quit would free up a lot of your time, for some people, video games, that's what it is. I think it's possible to do in healthy amounts, but for me personally, I'm at a phase of my life where I hardly have any time left in the day to do the things I need to do. And I know if I tried to fit video game time into there, fit an hour's worth of video games a day into something that's not directly contributing to my YouTube or my gaming brand, I mean, I just run out of time. So I'm not mentioning that because I'm telling you to quit video games, but for me, that's been a big edge, and people are often surprised when I say that. So that's something I had to include. Number 4, social media. This is, once again, I'm making a YouTube video right now. I run a social media brand. So did I quit social media? Do I think social media is necessarily a bad habit? Not necessarily. I think social media is a bad habit for most people, not because it's a bad habit itself, but because of how people use it. The way I think social media should be used is for connecting with people and for obtaining valuable information, for learning things that you otherwise wouldn't really be able to. And of course, there's a place for entertainment in that, but these days, I think it's flipped. I think people use social media just for entertainment and just to like distract themselves, and very little for actually learning or connecting with people. I feel like people forgot why social media was initially created. And if I had to give you like the most basic advice that I think would make almost anybody successful, it would be cut your social media input in half and double your output, double how much you're posting. I think social media is such a valuable tool, and at the same time, people undervalue their own attention and give it away in excess for free. If you could do one thing, I would really, really recommend you go through the channels you're subscribed to, the people you follow on Instagram, the people you follow on Twitter, and look at them objectively and say, why do I follow this person? Half the people we're following, it's just trash content. People that don't actually add any value to our life, but just catch our attention and keep us hooked for a couple minutes a day. I cut the amount of people I'm following on Instagram from like 1,100 to 150, and now I only follow people that actually matter to me, and I'm on Instagram like a 10th of the time that I used to be on it. Who would have thought? Take a look at how you use these apps and make sure you're using them and they're not using you. Number 5, investments / crypto / get rich quick schemes. I'm honestly shocked by the amount of young people out there who will like invest tens of hours researching crypto or researching investments, all to pour like $500, $1,000. And I just want to correct like a misbelief I think out there that's kind of being spread to young people. The way you become ultra successful is by leveling up a skill to a point where it's very high income, very high leverage. That's how you create wealth, right? Consistent wealth comes from some skill that's out of proportion to what the market has. And yet, so many people think that they're going to get rich off of like crypto, especially like when they're not even starting with that much money. The way that the super successful people get successful is they invest their time in one thing, in one vehicle, in one trade, and they max out that skill. And if you're thinking you're going to get rich doing like a main hustle over here and then having a side job here and investing in crypto here, you're not going to become great at all of them. You'll just become below average. And the returns in any field go to the top 1%, not the bottom 50%. So invest your time in one thing, invest your time in an actual income generating skill. That's my advice personally. I'm somebody who's bringing in a lot of income, and I say that not to brag, but to say at the point I'm at, I'm just continually still reinvesting in my business. I'm not investing in real estate. I'm not doing any of that because that's not what I'm good at. Pick a game, get good at the game, and play that game. The last bad habit I had to quit is checking my phone. I am not very focused as a person. Like, people in my life who know me know that I am incredibly easily distracted until I basically slashed the amount that I use my phone. To be honest, I think most things on your phone aren't designed to serve you. They're designed to hook you. And that like ghost grabbing and those distractions that were just consistently chipping into my focus time every day was so bad. Like it was seriously preventing me from getting into like the work that actually matters. So what I have personally done is I will literally check my phone, if I can help it, just a few times a day, once or twice a day, from the hours of like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. roughly. I'm not consuming anything on my phone. Sometimes I'll go on social media. You might see me post, but if I'm posting, I'm going on it for a reason and I'm going to output. I'm not going to be entertained. I think it's almost impossible in the modern day to use a phone consistently throughout the day in a productive way. When I just started responding to texts like once or twice a day, all of a sudden I have all this time to do focused work because now I can batch all my responses instead of like constantly checking my phone, going back and forth, having all these little distractions, going from app to app. I don't know, maybe this is just a me problem, but my relationship with how often I checked my phone was really unhealthy. And ever since I've cut that, I've been able to produce so much more meaningful work, like recording these YouTube videos and everything else. So to recap, the 6 things I've given up are alcohol / partying, at least to some extent, weekends, video games, social media, investment / crypto / anything that's not my main hustle, and checking my phone. consistently. These things may not seem impactful, but if you could pick just one or two, you would be amazed at how much more time you have in the day. Now that you know that, if you want something easy to do after watching this, one of the best things I did that I could set it and forget it was clearing up my social media. So if you want to join me and clear up your social media, go unfollow and unsubscribe the people who aren't giving to you in your life, and maybe consider following me on Instagram. It's Luke Hansen, or subscribing to me on YouTube if my stuff is actually helping you. Otherwise, that's all I've got. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.